this emphasis on Sauron? Is it because of the writing? Is it because it's easier to talk about evil? Why though?
Evil cannot create anything new. They can only corrupt and ruin what good forces have invented or made. J.R.R. Tolkien. And mainly what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through an article that I read. But I first wanted to just talk a little bit about, once again, the consensus with the people who created Rings of Power is to attack the fandom rather than just correcting their own mistakes. In this particular article by Film Slash, they talk about Star Wars and they're trying to juxtapose Star Wars and talk about how people over there are getting upset at the Acolyte and they're comparing it to Rings of Power.
So this video is not about the Acolyte, but because the article discusses the Acolyte, I'm just going to give about 30 seconds about the Acolyte. I've seen almost all the episodes of the Acolyte. I had trouble with the second episode, but everything else I've seen, the Acolyte is shite. It's garbage. It's the writing. I don't really care about power of two, power of many, lesbian witches, no lesbian witches. The story doesn't make any sense. The acting is wooden. And what they did with some of the good actors is really horrendous. And back to our scheduled programming. So I'm going to go through the whole article, but the main idea was that there were only minor changes made to Tolkien's work in the first season of Rings of Power, which of course was incorrect. It wasn't minor changes. There were major changes. For example, if we just look at the Harfoots, why were the Harfoots depicted as sociopaths, borderline psychopaths?
1,000 years.
Our laws are clear. Any Harfoot that breaks them is to be decaravanned.
Isn't he, the big fella?
What precisely do you expect me to do about it?
What you ought to have done at the camp. Take their wheels and leave them.
So the main premise of this article is that the Rings of Power Season 2 will resolve a Sauron-sized plot hole.
So what might this plot hole be? I'm going to go ahead and quote this article. So with over a dozen lesser rings still to come in the series, here's the plot hole in question. Why would anyone trust Sauron to help them create even more rings? A new comment from actor Charlie Vickers might go a long way towards resolving this bit of uncertainty. While speaking to Empire, he teased that the Dark Lord, taking on the form of Anatar, will play a major role throughout this Sauron-centric second season. You have Sauron and Celebrimbor working together, making rings, in the same way the whole Halbrand thing was for Galadriel. This new look is for Celebrimbor. This is the best way to get him to do what he wants him to do. Make a bunch of rings that'll dominate everyone else. So I have to return back to where I was at the opening, which was, but why though? Why would we need to have a Sauron-themed second season? Why would we need to have him be the #1 character in this show? Is that really in the spirit of Tolkien? I think y'all in the audience can answer that for yourselves. I can understand, though, why probably Payne and McKay did it, because it's an easier write and it's a way to sort of like save face. But is that really the intention of Tolkien's work, to have evil be the dominant force in his work? Because if the season is all about Sauron, is that really Tolkien or is that something else?
So to wrap up the article, they say, and I quote, "In this case, however, it's worth reflecting on exactly how this fresh insight into Season 2 will clear things up. For one thing, Charlie Vickers' comment hints at a detail that has tripped up many a fan, namely the fact that Vickers has portrayed Halbrand and will now also be portraying Anatar. Quote unquote, with both disguises looking exactly like the same person, give or take a pair of pointy elf ears, wouldn't Celebrimbor have to be an absolute dolt to fall for Sauron's tricks not once but twice? Well, the strong implication here is that Sauron's very Vickers-like appearance is merely for the benefit of us viewers.
My problem with what they're intimating in this article towards the end is that originally they were supposed to have, at the very least, 2 actors playing Sauron, or 2 actors playing Sauron and then the Anatar incarnation of Sauron. So Ravi Singh Chirrar was originally supposed to be, supposedly, the Anatar version of Sauron. And then when they were leaking these rumors, supposedly at one point it was understood that there might have even been 3 different actors. So they downsized to 1 for whatever reason, but to just say that, okay, now we're supposed to feel some type of way, or we're just supposed to assume that Charlie Vickers is somebody else and that there's an in-house spell. No, they got rid of Ravi Singh Chirrar up until now. That's what happened. So if you like what you've heard, like, subscribe, check out another video, and I'll leave it there.